My screen is visible, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So, shall we start the class or shall we wait for 1 or 2 minutes? Only so far 11 students are joined so far.
Wait, sir,
So,
2 minutes.
okay. You please ask your friends to join quickly.
Okay, sir.
Hmm. Okay, let's begin the class. People will join. Hope you are able to see my screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, in the previous class, we discussed about roles and responsibilities of ISO, and in fact, we also discussed one example how an ISO plays vital role by with the help of reserve, operating reserve. So, do you have any doubts in that session? Please tell me. Otherwise, I will go to the next session. So, independent system operator. What is the role of independent system operator and responsibilities, and which is also with respect to operating reserves. Yeah. Yeah. So we discussed about what is independent system operator and the roles and regulations of ISO, and in fact how ISO plays vital role in providing operating reserve. With an example like this, we discussed in the earlier class. Now let us go and discuss one more topic like power exchange. So which is more or less power exchange is nothing but a marketplace, and which is a non-profit organization, and in fact which is created for cost effectiveness in a competitive way, for running a market in a cost effectiveness with a competitive, we created power exchange. Let us generally power exchange in this market, small consumers will not be take part, only large customers will be participated, and so let us see how, and which is more or less quite similar like ISO, independent system operator. Only the thing is, in case of ISO, who is fully responsible for the entire market scheduling and dispatching procedures by coordinating with the various customers like generators, transmission systems, distribution system, and as well as various different customers. 1 minute. Sorry for the sorry for the disturbance. Okay, well, so power exchange is also a market where large customers will take part, and for cost effectiveness in a competitive way, some restructuring proposals are developed like a power exchange. So, which is quite similar like what you call a independent system operator, but here only large customers will take place. So, both short-term and long-term financial transactions could be in bilateral forms in electricity industry, where contracted parties agree individually for certain terms such as price, availability, and quantity of products. Industry restructuring proposals have concluded the necessity of creating a new marketplace to trade energy and other services in a competitive manner. So, this marketplace is known as power exchange. Sometimes we may also call this power exchange as spot price pool. That means through auction, people may conduct spot price pool and settles the requirements of generators and as well as customers. And this marketplace permits different participants to sell and buy energy and other services in a competitive way based on quantity, bids and prices. And you may notice that a few points like what I explained so far is similar with respect to ISO also. So that means even both ISO and Power Exchange both are uh, used for creating good competitiveness in a market. But coming to the Power Exchange, here for the large customers, it is essential to create one more market in a competitive way. So that's why Power Exchange is created by restructuring proposals by various eminent engineers. Participants include utilities, power marketers, brokers, load aggregators, retailers, large industrial customers, and co-generators. So these are the people who generally take part in the power exchange as well. Power exchange is a new independent, as I said earlier, which is quite similar to ISO. So PX is a new independent and non-government and non-profit entity which accepts schedules for loads and as well as generation resources. And it provides a competitive marketplace by running an electronic auction. So as I said earlier, so I hope you know about auction, right? Anyone can
Yes, sir.
explain what is meant by auction?
Um,
General. In your day-to-day life, you can explain.
they will provide some minimum or maximum price, and um,
Uh,
uh, buyers can quote their prices, and they can get if they are eligible for that.
I just
Sir, in simple language, Velam Pata.
yeah, Velampata. Absolutely, it's correct. So auction means that is Velampata, but now it is an electronic auction. So that means based on the requirement of a customer, he will quote. Suppose if a customer who required uninterrupted power supply for large amount. So similarly, such type of customers are there, and those people can participate electronically through the auction, and they can quote instantaneously for a day-ahead market or for an hour-ahead market. So that is so that in that way, power exchange will take the market in a competitive way. So the auction power exchange establishes an MCP for each hour of the following day for trades between buyers and sellers. In this marketplace, PX does not deal with small consumers. So as I said earlier, PX is exclusively created for large customers, consumers to run their market transactions in a competitive way. So, and PX manages settlement and credit arrangements for scheduling and balancing of loads and generation resources. It is claimed that participants entering the PX get more cost effectiveness by removing the complexities of arranging generation, transmission, and energy purchases. So, by removing certain complexities with respect to generation, transmission, and energy purchases, PX directly allows customers like consumers and generators to sell and buy energy in a competitive way, especially for large customers. In general, PX includes a day-ahead market and as well as an hour-ahead market. So that is about PX. So which is quite similar to ISO, but where ISO it includes various markets like Poolco, bilateral and hybrid models, but all they are marketplaces, but ISO is fully responsible for the scheduling and as well as the dispatching generation. And similarly, here PX is also quite same as ISO, and even PX is also a non-profit, non-government organization usually established for developing good competition even for large customers participation as well. PX accepts supply and so what is next one is market clearing price. So how market clearing price will be established in a PX market? Generally, PX accepts supply and demand bids to determine a maximum market clearing price for each of the next 24 hours in a trading day. Computers aggregate all valid supply bids and demand bids in an energy supply curve and an energy demand curve. So hope in the previous example operating reserve where we have demand and as well as supply curve. Demand is represented by vertical and supply is represented with a graph like stepwise. So based on the so whenever both the curves intersect each other, that means demand curve and supply curve whenever intersect, then that point gives market clearing price. So in that way we can determine market clearing price. So you just see this one, MCP is determined at the intersection of the two curves and all trades are executed at the MCP. In other words, MCP is the balance price at the market equilibrium for aggregated supply and demand graphs. So you just see here one graph is provided, D1, D2, D3 are demands at different time intervals, and MP1, MP2, MP3 is nothing but market clearing price at different demands. So if you see at time T1, demand is D1 and market clearing price is MP1. And after certain time like T2, demand varies to a level like D2. And similarly, proportionately, even market clearing price also varies. Like that, based on time, demand will varies, and whenever demand varies, obviously price will also varies. And you just see that the intersection of demand and generation gives market clearing price. So at time T1, MP1 is the market clearing price where demand D1 and supply intersected, and that point gives MP1 at time T1. Like that, time T2, time T3 is also represented. That is about market clearing price, and which is quite same in even what you call Poolco market as well as bilateral market as well. So next one is market operations, day ahead market and hour ahead markets. So when you talk first about day ahead markets, For each hour of the 24 hours scheduling day, sellers bid a schedule of supply at various prices. That means, suppose a generator, let us take a supplier is nothing but generator who can quote his energy bids with corresponding prices at each and every hour. Similarly, buyers can bid demand for various prices at different time intervals. And of course, MCP will be determined for each hour in day-ahead market as well. I hope you understand. So day-ahead market, in day-ahead market, for every hour out of in a day we have 24 hours, and for every hour a generator will specify his uh, quantity. This amount of energy I am going to supply with this cost at so and so hours. So that means a generator can charge at different levels also. So that means at one particular point of time he may charge less, and other point of time he may charge more. So like that, a generator can bid his energy with the different prices for entire 24 hours in a day. Similarly, a buyer can also schedule a demand at various prices, and such that for every hour power exchange must be able to conduct determined MCP. So this is about day-ahead market, and even for hour-ahead market is also same. So PX schedules supply and demand with the once after getting day and hour-ahead schedules, then Power Exchange is supposed to share his schedules for supply and demand with ISO for delivery. So PX can able to do agreements with respect to the customers, like large customers. But once after deciding all the agreements, PX supposed to provide clear information to the ISO, all the schedules between generation and as well as demand, and such that supply and demand are adjusted to account for congestion and auxiliary services, and then PX finalize the schedules. So why PX supposed to give all the schedules to the ISO means who is centrally coordinating entire power system. That's why he need to take all the schedules for generation and as well as demand, and such that totally he is going to take care about various problems like congestion problems, auxiliary service requirements, etc. And that is about day ahead market. And even in our head market is also similar, quite similar to the day ahead market, except trades are for 1 hour. Earlier in day ahead market, trades are for 1 day, and here it is scheduled for 1 hour. So that means a generator may accept to supply energy at so and so price for 1 hour, and even similarly a consumer can accept energy for 1 hour with so and so price, and in the next hour maybe generator can change from one customer to another customer, and even consumer can also change from one generator to another change. So that is about hour-ahead market. So once the MPC is determined in the PX, market participants submit additional data to the PX. The data would be include individual schedules by generating unit, takeout points for demand, adjustment bids. I hope you understand takeout points for demand, and adjustment bids for congestion management and auxiliary service bids. So in addition to the MCP determination, Power Exchange also supposed to submit some critical information like generating unit schedules, takeout point demand, adjustment bids for congestion management, and auxiliary service requirements request. After this states the ISO and the PX known the injection points of individual generating units to the transmission system. A schedule may include import or export. To account for transmission losses, generators schedules are adjusted where real losses are only known after all meter data are processed. So do you have any doubts? Please ask me. So in today's class, as of now, I discussed about power exchange, market operations, day-ahead market, and as well as hour-ahead market, and how once after processing all the scheduling and agreement arrangements through auction and scheduling generation and some other critical information like congestion management and as well as auxiliary service requirements, and all these must be provided to the ISO, and ISO can schedule based on the information. So do you have any doubts? Please ask me. Hope you understood. So then let us go with another topic in today's class, and which is quite interesting, and even with that information you clearly understood how a market influence, that means how a market influence or charges customers irrespective of the consumption capacity. So that means whether whether what you call a customer have its maximum demand or less demand, demand varies from time to time, we all know that one. But irrespective of the demand variation, traditional generating system is charging a customer in a uniform way, and that is not a fair, in fact. Why means how a market is going to charge a customer means based on its generating resources, he is going to charge a customer. But that is not fair. Why? Because there is a monopolism. So whatever the price they change, all customers must be able to take it. That means there is no elasticity with respect to the cost for consumption. So that is the drawback of the traditional power system. So that's why now we are going to discuss what is elastic and inelastic market. That means in the earlier days, 30 to 40 years back or 30 years or 20 years back, our power system markets are inelastic markets. That means irrespective of consumption of energy, a customer is charging same. That means there is no motive for any customer for adjusting their demand or their consumption pattern. There is no incentive, there is no any motivation from generator's side. Hence, that is a major drawback of the earlier system. Let us go that one. An inelastic market does not provide sufficient signals or incentives to a consumer to adjust its demand in response to the price. That means there is no any motivation for adjusting consumer demand. That is called as inelastic market. In a market that has a demand, MCP for energy is determined by the price structure of supply offers. That means MCP is determined whenever price curve interacts or intersects with the demand curve. And that point of time, what is the cost? And that is nothing but market clearing price. The concept of inelastic demand is directly related to the concept of frame load, which formed the basis of the electricity industry for many decades before the introduction of open access and energy markets. So that means in the earlier days, people don't know the price signals. Simply, they are just charging this amount of energy, this amount of cost for your consumption. So that is called as inelastic market. But due to the advancement of power system, due to the restructure of power system, and we all know that in the introductory classes, we discussed that the main motive to restructure the power system is to create open access to every customer, such that every customer can be able to see is how much consumption, what is the price signals, and how we are going to charge when you purchase in so and so time in near future. So that thinking capability is provided with the help of restructured power system by creating openness with a digital communication system. Customers use the concept of elastic demand when they are exposed to and aware of the price of energy and arrange their affairs in such a fashion so as to reduce their demand as the price of the next available offer exceeds a certain level. That means due to the open access information, a customer can able to see what is the price they are charging for so and so energy, and such that if suppose price of a next interval will be increased, and due to the openness, open accessibility, a customer can predict, oh, there is a price spark in the coming hours or coming days due to the huge demand for electricity. Let us and insufficient of energy. Let's better to reduce our consumption pattern as far as possible without interrupting our minimum production department, such that they can reduce their consumption pattern and they will be charged little less, or else they will be charged. So if they are unable to access the price signals information, and they don't know whether price is increasing or decreasing, and such that they don't have any idea whether to reduce their consumption or whether to increase their consumption, such that they will be charging huge. So that's why it will sometimes creates losses in their organizations, such that there is a chance to shut down their organizations, and such that due to instead of that, if if an organization knows, if a customer knows the price is going to improve or increase in the next hour or next day, such that he will reduce and such that he will be charged, such that his revenue will be saved. So such that social welfare activities will also be protected. That means if an organization getting losses, even getting losses through electricity is also one of the reason. And if you consider that one, if an organization getting losses, then unfortunately at one particular point of time, definitely that fellow has to set down its organization, such that production will be lost, and employability will be lost, and sales and purchases with respect to his production will also be not possible, and such that social exchanging economically will also be halted. Hence, that is not good for society. So that's why we always seek to protect an industries, such that not only industries, any customer, must be protected, must be charged in a fair way. That's why let us create an elastic demand market. So elastic market is essential to create, to protect various customers. So that is, you just see this pictorial representation. Here a vertical line is represented in that one, and that is nothing but a demand curve. So total 120 megawatts is required at this point of time. But you just see curve 1 and curve 2. So you just see curve 2 is thick line. Let us see initial curve is 2. So a customer is charging. If you see the intersection point with respect to thick curves, one vertical line and one thick curve, and it is around $25 per megawatt hour. But sometimes they may change supply due to the outage, due to the increasing of energy, or outage of any generator, and such that the supply curves will change. And if you see supply curve 1 represented by dotted lines, and the intersection with vertical line and dotted lines is at $35 per megawatt hour. But whether whether a generator is charging $25 or $35, customer doesn't know, and such that he is charging unwantedly. Why? Because he don't know. Maybe at particular point of time the supply price will be increases. So you don't know. In vertical integrated power system, customer doesn't know variation of supply and its prices, such that unwantedly sometimes he is paying more charges towards electricity consumption. So that is in inelastic markets. So if you see supply curve is having elasticity, but demand does not have any elasticity. So this is one of the drawback of the vertically integrated power system. That's why let us see one more graph here. If you made a demand curve have elasticity nature, then you can reduce unwanted loads such that MCP will be limited. MCP will be try to keep it as far as low, and it will be possible only when a customer reduces his unwanted loads. And you just see in this figure he have inelastic demand, that is 120 megawatts, and later due to increasing of price, if you have elasticity demand, then some customers can change their consumption pattern, and hence there is a intersection point with respect to dotted line and thick line like around $30 per megawatt hour. So if a consumer don't have elasticity nature, then he can able to pay $35 per megawatt hour. But due to the elasticity nature, he can pay only $30 per megawatt hour. So that is the advantage when we create elasticity even for demand curves also. And this will be possible only due to the open access feasibility, and which is done in restructured power systems. Let us see one more case with respect to the same concept. Inelastic demand with a supply shortfall. So you just see inelastic demand. Demand is vertical line, that is 140 megawatts. Or else you just simply see here demand is 120 megawatts and it is inelastic demand. And due to sudden increase of demand which goes to 150 megawatts. You just see 120 to 150 megawatts. But we have a supply curve is same like dotted line. Earlier, we have around $35 per megawatt hour with respect to inelastic demand. But still, unfortunately, suddenly demand was increased from 120 to around 145 megawatts like this. Hence, there is a shortage of supply to meet the demand, such that there is a scope to increase prices by the generators, and that is called as price spark. That means generators try to practice increase their price such that they used to practice price spark. And sometimes people, market people will try to use price cap, that is nothing but ceiling. And that's why, due to the imbalance between generation and demand, inelastic demand have major drawback with respect to prices. That's why it is more essential to make demand have elasticity nature such that we should always try to maintain MCP, market clearing price balance. Otherwise, it is difficult sometimes to maintain MCP point, market clearing price point. And that's why if you have a elasticity nature, then we can try to restore the balance between generation and demand like this. You just see here, due to the elasticity nature, post contingency. That means you just see here post contingency and pre contingency. Pre contingency is we have intersection point between thick lines with respect to supply, with respect to demand. And post contingency, that means one more case you can see. So this is with respect to price cap. When we don't have when we have an inelastic demand curve like this, and when there is suddenly rise in demand, then when there is a supply shortage, then people try to use price spark activity such that consumer will be charged. That is also not good. Hence, it is essential to make demand as elasticity. And let us go with another example. Suppose you just see, even though demand having elasticity, and you just see demand and supply both are having elasticity nature, and meeting point of these two thick curves is around $30 per megawatt hour. And suppose unfortunately one of the generator fails, or outaged due to weather conditions or due to shortage of generating resources. Hence, there is once again inadequate of energy. At that time, you just see here from 110 to around 100. So earlier, the first meeting point, intersection point is around 105 megawatts, and second intersection point is around 95 megawatts. That means due to sudden shortage of 10 megawatts, then supply shortfall happens. And if you make demand as elastic nature, then with the nominal price like one more intersection point will be restored even after post contingency also, and such that the price will be in a lower, that is around 35 only. So hence, with all this discussion, I can say that elasticity in demand would always slow down the rise in prices, and the price cap could be unneeded when the market demonstrates demand elasticity. And one more important point you should notice that elasticity in demand is beneficial by keeping the market clearing price in a lower. Yeah, I hope you understood. Do you have any doubt? Please ask me. I will explain further also where you stuck. Please interact with me.
Okay, sir.
No doubt, sir.
So only one
Okay, sir.
theme, one theme. So in vertically integrated power system, few years back we have inelastic demand, and such that two problems are there. So one is unnecessarily, irrespective of the consumption, customer is charging or paying, but that is one problem. And another problem is if there is any supply shortage due to contingency activities, hence supply is inadequate, hence there is a practice. Sometimes people try to practice like increasing their prices suddenly. That's why market will try to keep price ceiling practice. That is one more drawback. And one more drawback is we can lose balance between supply and demand curves such that MCP will be difficult to determine. Hence, people once again practice increasing their prices without any notice. And these are the various drawbacks. Hence, it's essential to make elastic demand such that all these problems will be reduced or limited. Hope you understand this one. Am I right? Or do you have any doubt? Please ask me. I am ready to
Sir.
clarify. Chepama. Yes, tell me. Do you have any doubt? Or can I go with the next slide?
No doubt,
No
sir.
doubt, sir.
Okay,
No doubt, sir.
Thank you. So let us go with small example. A numerical example, how a loss will be impact. So which is not related to elastic or inelastic. Just I want to do one small mathematical problem here. Consider a system having two generators like G1 and G2 and demand like D. And generator G1 and generator G2 are charging their customers like C1 dollars per megawatt hour, C2 dollars per megawatt hour. And we have a transmission line between generator 1 and 2, and such that we can expect power loss as well. And even one arrow mark is represented, that is nothing but D, and that is nothing but demand. And here even B1, which is nothing but a loss coefficient, and which is also given in the data. Now what we can do generally, so here whether if you see generator 1 is charging C1, which is $10 per megawatt hour, and generator 2 is C2, and who is charging $12 per $12.5 per megawatt hour. Generally, with whom we can purchase power? Please give me the response. Whether G1 or G2. G1 charging $10 per megawatt hour, G2 charging $12.5 per megawatt hour. Then with whom you can purchase electricity?
G1, sir.
G1. Why? Because he is charging less price compared to G2. Well, that is one you can remember with this example. And that's why let us see how much of energy a generator must be able to produce. So G1 must be produce P1, and that power must be equal to P loss plus demand. Nothing but P2. So generally, if you see load is connected at generator 2 and load is connected at generator 2, P1 is equals to loss plus P2. That is the balanced condition. And P loss is nothing but B1 P1 square. And Pg1 is equals to P1. And now Pg2 is equals to, so generating resource generation at G2 is Pg2, and which is nothing but D minus P1, sorry, D minus P2, such that you just submit P2 as from equation A. So that is P1 minus B1 P1 square, and such that Pgt is equals to in terms of Pg1. So equation C is in terms of only Pg1. Now you can see three alternatives to serve the load. So generally with whom we can purchase initially, every common man has idea better to go with G1 since he is charging $10 when compared to generator 2. So when you take like that, Pg1 is equals to, you just see this equation, Pg1 is equals to B1 P1 square plus P2. So B1 is 0.05, that is given in the what you call data, Pg1 square plus 40. B1 P1 square. P1 is nothing but Pg1. That's why B1 into Pg1 whole square plus P2. So accordingly, you just see 0.005 Pg1 square plus 40. Now you can solve this equation. So such that you will get, already we solved P1 and P2 and substitute Pg1 value and substitute, you just Pg1 is 55.278 megawatts. That means generator 1 must be able to produce 55.278 megawatt power for meeting demand in the example, and such that if you remove 40 megawatts for demand and additional 15.278 is the loss component. Hence, you can calculate total cost. So 55.278 into $10, such that you will be charging $55.278 per hour when we make use generator 1 alone. I hope you understand this first alternative, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, fine. 1 minute. Yeah, sorry for the interruption. Hope I am audible, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So when you take first alternative like generator 1, who is charging? Let us see. Let us. Some people may also think that when we make use generator 2, even though he is charging more, let us try to make use generator 2. Why? Because who is just near to the load center. Hence, in second case is by making use G2. So generator 2. So how much demand is there? 40 megawatts. There is no loss component. 12.5 into 40, which gives how much? $500 per hour. So 12.5 into 4, which gives $500 per. So it means instead of G1, though G1 is charging less, if you use G2, we will be charged further less. Why? Because we don't have any loss component. So that is the one more alternative, and you should see that now. But once again, one more customer we have who is an intelligent person and who try to think, why don't we make use both the resources G1 and G2, and such that is there any scope to reduce further my charges for my consumption for 40 megawatts? Like that, one more person is there. So that's why let us think in another way. Optimal response of both generators to serve the load. That means by using G1 and G2 dispatches. Let T is the total cost serving the load, and T is equals to C1 into PG1 plus C2 into PG2. So we are making use both the generators G1 and G2 such that G1 PG1 into how much we are using from generator 1 into C1 plus how much we are using power from generator 2 into C2, such that we know that Pg2 in the earlier equation. So Pg2 we derived with the equation C. You can make use and substitute here, and you will get equation D. And you just see here C1 Pg1 plus C2 into D minus Pg1 minus B1 Pg2 square, which is completely Pg1. Now you can differentiate with respect to, for the optimal case, you just differentiate and make it equal, and such that you will get Pg1, that is this much. And you just substitute in C, equation C, then you will get Pg2, that is this much. And according to this case, you can calculate and substitute, and you will get Pg1 is equals to 20 megawatts, Pg2 is equals to 22 megawatts. And last component is B into Pg1 square, 20 whole square into B, such that 2 megawatts loss. And you just see with respect to this 10 into 20 plus 12.5 into 22. So that means how much a generator 1 is producing? 20 megawatts. C1 into 20 plus C2 into Pg2. Pg2 is 22, such that if you calculate price, finally you will get $47 per megawatt hour. So this is the optimal dispatch under severe conditions. So I hope you understand. So optimal dispatch always gives better results. I hope you understand, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next topic will be discussed in the what you call next class. So can I take leave? Do you have any doubts? Please ask me. I am ready to discuss. Otherwise, I will take leave.
No doubt, sir.
No doubt, sir.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All are leave this meeting.
Please take attendance.
Attendance over.
Bro, take attendance.
Attendance already తీసుకున్నా.
Okay, bro. Thank you.
Okay,
Okay,
sir.
thank you.